Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined today by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder, Real Estate 360 is designed to build Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets one house at a time. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Or visit us via the web at realestate360live.com. That's realestate360live.com. We've got a lot of listeners that have been emailing in. On the right-hand side, you click Ask a Question, just different things regarding short sales and foreclosures or loan modifications. Obviously, there's a lot of questions out there right now just because everybody's situation is a little bit different. I completely understand that, and I think that, you need to be working with a professional that can, identify if there is anything that you're able to do or at least point you in the right direction for somebody better to assist you. It's 877-245-2030. So it's interesting, Louis, I was reading an article, I can't remember where it was, I want to say it was Mortgage News Daily, but Bank of America is set to donate 1,000 homes to veterans, I believe, over the next 3 years, and they've committed to do this to local agencies and nonprofit organizations working with injured veterans and first responders. The bank announced the program today, along with the names and information on the two most recent recipients on Friday. The bank said that over 24 homes have already been donated through the program, 2 in the last few weeks. These homes, one in Tucson, Arizona, and other in San Antonio, Texas, were handed over to retired military wounded in the Iraqi war. Interesting that, they're coming out and doing this, and I think this is kind of like what we spoke about. Was it City Mortgage that we talked about, how they were they had sold their loans off, but they were still kind of tied to a renter's program. Now we have Bank of America coming out and they're donating, homes to veterans. This is more of a marketing ploy than anything else. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, how much is it going to help?
Yeah, I mean, and see, this is where it's like, okay, that's great. You're going to be donating these homes, but you're on the larger side of things where all these basically non-performing mortgages that you're not willing to modify, you're not going to help any of those people. It's strategically, I think, and that's why I feel like Citi and Bank of America, they're trying to come out to get a little bit of play in the media and have some sort of positive spin out there. This more or less is what I feel like this is going to do. I mean, this is not really like something that I feel like has been going on for years with Bank of America. I think this is more strategic than anything else. On a brighter note, it is a good thing that if they are doing it for injured veterans and first responders, I can commend them for doing so. Just thought it was a quick little story that we might want to throw out there. Also, new home sales are 25%, or reported anyway, 25% higher than July of 2011, and the inventories, especially in the D.C. metro area, continue to shrink. New home sales rose in July to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 372,000 units. And this is according to a joint release from the U.S. Census Bureau and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This was an increase of 3.2% from the sales in June. The June rate was adjusted upward from 350,000, originally reported, to 359,000 units. July sales were 25.3% higher than in July of 2011, when the rate of sales was estimated at 297,000 units. Now, once again, okay, if we just look at this article and we see, oh, great, new home sales are 25% higher than July of 2011. Yeah, that is a good thing. Now, I have a feeling, the story didn't really, they kind of said that certain locations were better than others, but, I definitely feel like in the D.C. metro area, we're definitely helping those numbers, just because the inventories around here are ridiculously low. It's very hard to find rentals. It's very hard to find homes to buy in certain price range. So, people are going to be forced to go look at new homes. In other areas of the country, that's not going to be the case, where they have just tons and tons of inventory out there, and there's not enough buyers to actually go buy it up, and you just have investors that are trying to buy as much hand over fist as they possibly can. So while these numbers are good, I mean it would be nice to see that they were going on throughout the country and not just in certain geographical areas. Would you agree with that, Lewis?
Absolutely. All real estate is local.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially, I've seen in the D.C. metro area, and I think this is interesting because there was a certain subdivision in Northern Virginia, I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head, but about a year ago, their base price was probably around like $400,000 for a single family detached, and now about a year later, that base price is up to about $435,000. So that's a pretty substantial increase, and much of that is due to the low inventory. Because if they're able to really raise their prices up like that, there has to be the demand for it. And a lot of that demand is being stimulated because there's just nothing else out there.
It's a supply-demand issue.
Right. And, the media can spin it every which way, but most of what's going on in most real estate markets is basically just your basic economic supply and demand. If there's a lot more supply than there is the demand, then the prices are going to be probably staying the same or going lower. If there's more,
and if you think about the housing bubble, they juiced up the demand by making loans available to everybody.
Yeah, and so in the D.C. metro area, we have a lot. Jobs are more plentiful, right? So interest rates are low, so there's more people that are wanting to buy now with this low interest rate environment. So we have a lot more buyers that are out there. So when there's properties that are basically all done up, nice kitchens, nice bathrooms, those are the ones that are getting multiple bids. They're getting bid up. If you've got the ones that aren't as nice, those are still getting sold. Because what's happening is the people are getting discouraged from buying those upper-end homes or the ones that are having multiple bids, so then they run to a house that maybe needs a little bit of work. And then once those homes are gone, the only thing left is to go to the new homes. And we've seen a ton of that, and I think that's definitely going to be a trend that's going to continue as long as the interest rate environment stays low. Obviously, if interest rates start to rise and we would see that these numbers would change drastically and in probably a very a short amount of time. I think that, lately we've had a lot of people saying, oh, where do you see interest rates going? And like I said, I don't have the crystal ball. Nobody does. But you have seen over the last couple weeks that it's been very tumultuous, up and down, up and down. I want to kind of caution people, like I said, don't try to time the market. It's not worth, saying that you're not going to buy just because, interest rates rose an eighth or a quarter. You're going to wait another 5 to 6 months because you think that after the election, interest rates are going to all of a sudden go 0.5% lower. Chances are that's probably not going to happen because at the end of the day, you have to remember, banks don't want to necessarily lend their money out on mortgages at, mid 3.5% range. Okay. So what makes you think that even after the election, even if there is another QE3 and the Fed continues to buy more mortgage-backed securities, that the banks won't just continue to get greedy and keep the rates where they're at, and there'll just be more premiums for them to make and profit from. They don't have to pass that down to the end consumer, which I've seen this has been going on for some time now. This is nothing new, and I feel like, it'll be great. It'll be a great media story that, the Fed did this, and this. Interest rates should be lower, but that doesn't mean it's going to be passed down to the consumer, and it doesn't mean that the lenders won't create more overlays for it to be impossible for you to get a home loan. So at the end of the day, I would say, take what's there right now because it is great. If you're able to buy, if you're able to lock in yourself to a long-term 30-year fixed mortgage, sub 4% interest rates, just depending upon what your qualifications are and depending upon what type of loan you're trying to take out, then I would urge you to do so, especially if you're going to stay in the area for an extended period of time. Now, if you're only going to be here for 6 months to a year to 2 years and you're going to rent, then that's probably the best option for you. But in some cases, you might still consider buying because it could be a good investment opportunity for you. Lock in sub 4% interest rates on a 30-year fixed mortgage and you want to hold that and rent it out. In a lot of areas, especially in Northern Virginia, you can buy that home, rent it out, and have your mortgage payment covered. If not, have some positive income coming off of it. So there's definitely some circumstances where it still makes sense to buy, even if you're only going to be in the area for 6 months to a year to a year and a half. The best advice I can give though is before you do anything, before you rent or extend your lease term, go and talk to a professional that can let you know what financing options that are out there and, what the price ranges are bearing, what type of property you can get. It might ultimately help you make a more informed decision and you choose to buy versus rent. And even after you're given all that information, if you still choose to rent, well, then that's great too. Like I said, homeownership is not for everybody, but I do feel like many people miss out on the opportunity to buy just because they don't know of programs that are out there. That's what I'm here for. I'd be glad to point you in the right direction. And if you're looking to start your search, nationally, wherever you are throughout the country, because we have listeners obviously all over the U.S., and they're looking to compare realtors. Lewis, where's one of the best places they can go to do that?
Homegame.com. If you go to homegame.com, you can find and compare realtors. You put in your desires of what you need in a real estate agent, whether you're buying or selling a home. You submit that to HomeGame. We then submit that to a handful or maybe half a dozen agents, and they then propose to you and tell you what they're going to do for you, their commission rates, their experience, their marketing plans, and you can review those proposals. They don't know who you are, and when you finally decide you want to contact one of them, you contact them through our system, and only at that point do they know who you are, and now you've avoided the whole concept of realtors calling you up, spamming you, and so on. This way you get to pick the right real estate agent for you at homegame.com. You do that by going to homegame.com, to the left tab, find a realtor. You can get started there. And while you're there, you can also check out many of the surveys that HomeGame does. You can get a free home price estimate of your home and check out recent home sales in your neighborhood. And you can also view homes for sale, new homes, condos, foreclosures, and even apartment listings. So if you go to homegame.com, you can get yourself started on your buying or selling a home.
Awesome, Lewis. I appreciate it. Thanks again for coming on, buddy.
Thank you, Ryan.
Guys, thank you for tuning in today. We'll be back again next Monday from 2 to 3 p.m. right here at WNEW 1580 AM. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me, 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week.